I want you to picture a scenario.
Okay.
You're staring at your screen. You have exactly 2 hours until a massive career-defining deadline.
Oh, stressful already.
Right. Your heart is just pounding. You go to attach the final document, the one you've been meticulously refining for weeks. And
Yeah.
suddenly, your laptop completely freezes.
Ugh.
You try to force a reboot, but now your virtual private network, the VPN, has completely crashed. You are locked out of the company server.
Yeah.
And we have all been there in some capacity. That absolute cold sweat panic of a technology failure hitting at the exact worst possible moment.
It is a universally terrifying feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And historically, the way most organizations handled that panic, especially in high-stakes fields where time is literally money, was just by picking up the phone and yelling for help.
Right. Fix it now.
Exactly. It's what the industry calls the classic break-fix model. I mean, you only really think about your IT department when something is literally on fire and you need somebody to put it out.
Well, welcome to this deep dive. Today, we are exploring a fantastic, highly detailed guide from the experts at moremax.net. It's called The 7 Pillars of Strategic IT Management for Law Firms.
It's a great read.
It really is. And our mission today is to explore how the legal industry is shifting away from that panicked, reactive break-fix model and transforming into a proactive, high-performance IT service management machine.
Which is a huge leap.
It's massive. And listen, even if you are not a lawyer, stick around, because the lessons in here on how to handle, complex tech and massive data in a high-stakes, zero-margin-for-error environment, they absolutely apply to whatever field you're in.
100%. The paradigm shift discussed in the source material is, well, it's massive.
Yeah.
Mostly because we are dealing with a completely different modern landscape now.
Yeah, the rules have changed.
Right. Think about the reality of work today. We're managing hybrid, remote work environments, incredibly sophisticated cyber threats, and volumes of data that would have been unimaginable 20 years ago.
Terabytes upon terabytes.
Exactly. So in that kind of high-pressure environment, waiting for things to break before you fix them isn't just inefficient. It's actively dangerous to the business.
Yeah.
The source material introduces us to ITSM, which stands for IT Service Management.
Yeah.
And it makes a really crucial point right out of the gate. ITSM is not just a glorified help desk.
Right.
It is the vital bridge between incredibly complex technology and the seamless delivery of a service. It's a structured framework that completely redefines how an IT department serves a business.
Shifting them from, mechanics to strategic partners.
Precisely.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the Moremax Guide breaks this massive organizational shift down into 7 very digestible pillars.
Which goes a lot.
It does. And the first 2 pillars are all about moving from simply treating the symptoms of a tech problem to actually curing the disease.
Right.
So pillar number 1 is incident management, which the guide brilliantly subtitles Protecting the Billable Hour. And I imagine in a law firm, any technical disruption is a direct hit to revenue.
That is the absolute core of the issue. Time is the inventory a law firm sells.
Oh, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, so an incident in this context is any disruption to that productivity. That frozen laptop you mentioned earlier, a crashed document management system, or a failing VPN.
Right.
In the old vacuum of traditional IT, a user submits a ticket, it goes into a black hole, and they just wait.
Just refreshing their email.
Exactly. But ITSM introduces a standardized workflow for logging and resolving these issues, with a hyper-focus on the actual business impact of the outage.
That makes sense in theory, but I imagine a senior partner in the middle of a massive trial doesn't care about a standardized workflow. They just want their screen fixed right that second.
Right.
How does ITSM handle that kind of pressure?
It handles it through rigorous automated triage. The system is designed to instantly evaluate the business impact of a ticket.
Okay.
For example, say a paralegal submits a ticket about a jammed printer. It's assigned a low priority. Annoying for the paralegal, yes, but not world-ending for the firm. Now, compare that to a lawyer experiencing a failure of their litigation support software right in the middle of a courtroom trial.
Oh, panic mode.
That is instantly flagged as urgent. ITSM automatically routes that high-priority issue to the top of the queue or to a specialized rapid response team.
Skipping the line entirely.
Exactly. It is all about first call resolution for critical issues, so attorneys spend less time on hold and more time billing clients.
That makes a lot of sense.
What's fascinating here is how the data from those daily incidents feeds directly into the second pillar, which is problem management.
Okay.
And this is where we transition from fighting fires to fire prevention.
So if Incident management is grabbing a bucket because there's water on the floor. Problem management is finding the actual leak in the roof and fixing the pipes.
That is the perfect analogy.
Oh, good.
Incident management is treating the immediate symptom. Problem management is eradicating the root cause. The source material gives a really relatable and frankly infuriating anecdote for this.
Oh, let's hear it.
Imagine an attorney who loses access to their email for exactly 10 minutes every single Tuesday afternoon.
I would lose my mind. I'd be throwing my mouse across the room by week 3.
Right. Most people would. Now, the old school incident management approach just has an IT tech remotely reset the connection every Tuesday.
Problem solved.
For the moment. But the underlying problem is still there, and it's going to happen again next week.
Yeah.
Problem management teams actually investigate the why. In this specific example from the text, they dig into the server logs and discover there is a hidden, scheduled backup script that is completely overloading the server at that exact specific time every week.
Wow. So by digging deeper, they reschedule the backup to midnight, and they don't just fix the email for one day, they stop the issue from ever happening again.
Exactly.
They eliminate all that daily noise and frustration.
Precisely. It creates a stable, reliable environment. It stops the IT department from playing a never-ending game of whack-a-mole, and it builds immense trust with the staff.
So if we've stabilized the daily annoyances, the next massive hurdle is usually controlling how the actual technology evolves.
Always a challenge.
Which brings us to pillars 3 and 4, categorized as control and defense. Let's look at pillar 3, change management, or as the guide puts it, evolving without the chaos.
Yes.
Now, law firms are notoriously risk-averse when it comes to changing how they work.
For very good reason.
Ooh.
The nightmare scenario in any corporate environment, but especially law, is a seemingly simple server update rolling out on a Friday night, and it unexpectedly breaks a database.
Oh, no.
Yes, locking a firm out of all their files during a critical weekend merger negotiation. It's an absolute disaster.
And how does ITSM prevent that? Do they just stop updating systems entirely?
No, they manage the risk. Change management ensures that every single change, a software patch, a hardware rollout, migrating data to the cloud is meticulously planned, tested, and crucially communicated.
Okay.
It introduces a formal body called a Change Advisory Board, or a CAB.
I can already hear the cultural resistance to this.
Oh, yeah.
You're telling me a high-powered attorney who wants to install a new piece of software now has to wait for a board to approve it.
That is exactly the cultural friction the source material highlights. It's a massive shift in firm hierarchy.
Yeah.
ITSM forces everyone, even the most senior partners, to submit to standardized operational processes.
Wow.
The CAB acts as a gatekeeper to protect the firm from itself. They ensure you have scheduled maintenance windows. You absolutely do not push a major update during peak tax filing periods or right before a massive trial.
Right.
The CAB also guarantees you have backup plans. If the new system fails upon deployment, the team must have a tested plan to immediately revert to the old system without losing a single kilobyte of data.
And the guide mentions user communication as part of this pillar too, because there's nothing worse than logging in on a Monday morning and experiencing interface shock.
Oh, where everything looks different.
Yes, where suddenly all the buttons have moved and nobody knows how to do their jobs.
Communication is half the battle.
Yeah.
If you explain the change beforehand, the friction drops immensely.
But as much as we need to tightly control internal changes, we also have to defend against external threats.
Yes.
Which brings us to pillar 4, security and compliance, building the digital fortress. The guide points out that law firms are absolute prime targets for cyber attacks because they hold the crown jewels of data.
Think about the information a major law firm holds. Mergers and acquisition details before they go public. Deeply sensitive litigation strategies, proprietary corporate data, intellectual property.
Stuff people would pay a lot of money for.
Exactly. That data is priceless to an extortionist or a hacker.
The MoreMax.net guide explains that ITSM integrates security into the actual fabric of daily service delivery, rather than just slapping antivirus software on a laptop as an afterthought.
Right.
They talk about access management being a huge part of this, specifically for maintaining ethical walls between cases. What does that actually look like in practice?
An ethical wall is essentially an information barrier within a firm to prevent conflicts of interest.
Yep.
Imagine two attorneys who work for the same firm. They get coffee together in the break room, but they are working on different sides of related corporate issues.
I see.
They absolutely cannot have access to each other's digital files. ITSM enforces those access rules at the system level, automatically granting and revoking access based on assigned roles.
Got it. The guide also drops an absolute alphabet soup of compliance acronyms here. It says ITSM provides standard audit trails to comply with GDPR, CCPA, ITA, and client security audits.
Nope.
For the listener who isn't steeped in compliance law, what are the stakes here?
The stakes are existential for a business.
Really?
If a firm needs to comply with strict privacy laws like GDPR in Europe, the CCPA in California, or HIPAA for healthcare data, they need documented mathematical proof of who accessed what file and exactly when.
So you can't just guess.
No. If there's a data breach, that ITSM paper trail is the only thing standing between the firm and a massive business-ending regulatory fine. It's the difference between claiming we are secure and being able to prove it to a government auditor.
That is heavy.
Very.
So moving from the digital fortress, we get into pillars 5 and 6, which are all about expectations and brain power.
Yes.
Pillar 5 is service level management, setting clear expectations. Because honestly, the biggest source of friction between any staff and their IT department isn't usually the technology itself. It's ambiguous expectations.
Here's the classic black hole effect. I submitted a ticket. Why isn't it fixed yet?
Right. If a manager thinks it should take 5 minutes to get a new hire set up with a laptop and email logins, but the IT department has an internal policy of 24 hours, you have instant explosive conflict.
Yes.
The guide introduces SLA service level agreements as the solution.
Think of an SLA as a formal internal contract between the IT department and the rest of the firm.
Okay.
It explicitly defines guaranteed response times and performance metrics for different types of issues.
So it provides psychological comfort. If you know IT is contracted to fix your non-urgent issue within 4 hours, you go do something else. If you don't know, you sit there refreshing your screen and getting increasingly angry.
Exactly that. It provides transparency, so the partners funding the firm know exactly what level of service they're getting for their IT budget.
Makes sense.
It provides accountability because the IT team's performance is objectively measured against these metrics, and it forces the entire firm to sit down and agree beforehand on what truly constitutes an emergency.
Here's where it gets really interesting, because you take that clear communication and structure and you apply it to the firm's collective knowledge.
Yes.
Pillar 6 is knowledge management, or preserving the firm IQ.
This is a critical vulnerability for many organizations that people rarely think about. Often, all the deep systemic IT knowledge exists solely in the head of 1 or 2 senior technicians who've been there for a decade.
Oh, the bus factor.
Exactly. If they retire or get a better job offer, that institutional knowledge literally walks out the door with them.
Or on the user side, you have lawyers who figure out weird little workarounds for clunky software issues, but they never share those tricks with their colleagues. They essentially hoard the knowledge. But lawyers bill by the hour. How do you actually incentivize a highly paid attorney to stop billing for 15 minutes to write a technical wiki article for the IT department?
Well, you don't usually ask the attorneys to write the technical documentation. ITSM solves this by having the IT team mandate the creation of a centralized, highly searchable knowledge base based on the ticket resolutions. First, it ensures IT continuity.
Yeah.
All technical procedures are documented by the techs, so if someone leaves, a new internal hire can read the manual and step right in. But more importantly, it creates self-service portals for the staff.
Which saves everyone time. If an attorney just needs to know, how do I securely share a 5-gigabyte video file with outside counsel? They shouldn't have to open a ticket, wait in the queue, and burn an SLA response.
No.
They can just search the portal, find the step-by-step guide, and do it themselves in 2 minutes.
And the source material notes that this knowledge management extends beyond just fixing broken things. It includes documenting legal tech best practices. For instance, creating firm-wide guides on the most efficient way to use e-discovery tools, which is software used to comb through millions of emails during litigation, or how to automate standard document assembly. It democratizes the best ways of working and makes the whole firm smarter.
Which leads us perfectly into the final pillar, Pillar 7, which is all about the bottom line, maximizing your return on investment through asset and lifecycle management.
Crucial.
Technology is an enormous line item on any corporate budget.
It is massive, and poorly managed tech is a silent financial drain.
The guide uses 2 great terms here, shelfware and zombie hardware. What exactly are those, and how much money are we really talking about wasting here?
The waste can be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars for a mid-sized firm.
Wow.
Shelfware is when you pay for, say, 500 expensive enterprise-level software licenses, but you only have 400 employees actually using the tool. You are literally paying annual subscription fees for nothing.
Just sitting on the virtual shelf.
Exactly. Zombie hardware refers to those 4-year-old, slow-dying laptops that are still in circulation, quietly wasting precious billable minutes every single time an employee waits 10 minutes for it to boot up.
So ITSM provides a strategic lifecycle framework to track all of this.
It does. It tracks an asset from the moment someone requests it to the day it is securely wiped of sensitive data and physically retired.
Yeah.
It gives the firm strict inventory control.
You know exactly what you own.
Yes. It also allows for predictable budgeting. If, as a hard rule that laptops are replaced every 3 to 4 years, you can plan your capital expenditures accurately, rather than getting hit with emergency budget requests when 20 laptops die in the same month.
And I imagine strict license management prevents you from overpaying for that shelfware, or conversely, under-licensing your software and getting hit with a massive, devastating fine during a vendor audit.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, none of these 7 pillars work in isolation. They require a cohesive underlying structure to hold them together.
Right.
The Mormack's guide highlights that the most widely adopted framework for tying all these concepts together is called ITEL, the Information Technology Infrastructure Library.
ITEL is basically the foundational playbook for how to execute ITSM.
It is. And the beauty of ITEL for any business, including law firms, is its flexibility. You do not have to implement all 7 pillars at full maximum intensity on day one.
That would be overwhelming.
Very. Most firms start with the absolute basics to stop the bleeding: incident management, change management, and security. Then, as the firm's IT maturity grows and the culture adapts, they layer in the more complex processes like problem and knowledge management.
But to run that playbook, you need the right tools. You can't manage this level of complexity on a shared spreadsheet.
Definitely not.
The guide outlines some specific software platforms, noting that the legal industry needs tools that integrate smoothly with their specific legal tech stacks. They mention tools like Clio, which handles practice management, or iManage and NetDocuments, which are heavy-duty document management systems.
The integrations are non-negotiable. If your IT ticketing system doesn't talk to your document management system, you're creating more work for everyone.
The guide breaks down the ITSM software tools into tiers, which is really helpful. How do they compare?
The source material frames them quite clearly. You have ServiceNow, which is essentially the luxury smart home system of IT, highly customized, deeply complex, and driven by powerful AI features. It's the enterprise gold standard.
Okay, the luxury option.
Then you have Jira Service Management, which operates more like a nimble sports car. It's highly agile and favored by mid-sized firms that don't need the massive overhead of ServiceNow.
The guide also mentions Freshservice as a great middle ground option with excellent out-of-the-box automation.
Yes.
And finally, Halo ITSM, which the text notes is really gaining traction in the legal sector specifically because of how clean and intuitive the user interface is. It doesn't look like a scary back-end IT tool. It looks like modern consumer software.
Having the right tool is vital, but the source material makes a very deliberate point to emphasize the implementation roadmap. Implementing ITSM is not just a matter of buying a software license for Jira or Halo ITSM and flipping a switch.
It never is.
It requires a fundamental, sometimes painful cultural shift within the organization.
So how do you actually do it without everyone throwing up their hands and quitting?
Oh.
The guide gives a very clear 5-step roadmap. Step 1 is to assess your current state. You have to be brutally honest.
Yes.
Where are your biggest bottlenecks right now? Are your staff constantly complaining about slow support? Is the managing partner terrified of a data breach? You have to identify the actual pain points before you prescribe the medicine.
Which flows right into step 2. Define your why.
Oh.
For most of these high-stakes firms, the ultimate goal isn't just we want better IT. It's about increasing billable hours by reducing technical friction. When the why is explicitly tied to revenue, efficiency, and reducing stress, the staff gets on board.
But even with a great why, IT alone can't force lawyers to change their behavior right, which is why step 3 is so critical. Appoint a champion.
You need a leader driving this change from the top down. Usually this is a forward-thinking chief technology officer or an incredibly influential senior partner who understands the strategic vision and can push through the inevitable cultural resistance.
Someone with actual clout.
Exactly. If the leadership doesn't respect the new CAB processes or the SLAs, no one else will.
Then, step 4. Start small. Don't try to boil the ocean. The guide suggests focusing on just incident management first. prove the value of the new system by showing the staff that their tickets are actually getting resolved faster and user satisfaction is going up.
Yes, get that quick, undeniable win to build momentum.
And finally, step 5, iterate.
Use the data you gather from those first few months of incident management to identify the next biggest problem and apply the next pillar. It is a continuous, evolving cycle of improvement, not a one-time project.
So, what does this all mean? When we zoom out and look at the core message from the Mormax.net guide, it is abundantly clear that technology is no longer just a back-end support function keeping the lights on.
Not at all.
In a crowded, highly competitive market, your IT infrastructure is a competitive differentiator. By adopting these 7 pillars, moving from a panicked break-fix model to a proactive, secure, highly efficient ITSM machine, firms can stop stressing about their tech.
They can actually focus on what they're meant to be doing: winning cases, serving their clients, and generating revenue.
Exactly. An investment in ITSM isn't just buying software. It is a direct investment in a firm's reputation, the sanity of its people, and its ultimate profitability.
This raises an important question, one that builds right off that idea of technology as a competitive differentiator. We've spent this time analyzing how ITSM transforms a firm's internal operations and efficiency. But its seamless, impenetrable, highly efficient technology dictates exactly how effectively a firm can advocate for its clients. Are we approaching a future where a modern law firm's IT framework is viewed by potential clients as just as critical to winning a case as the actual legal precedents their attorneys cite in court?
Oh, wow.
Will massive corporate clients start choosing their representation based not just on legal pedigree, but on verifiable technological superiority?
That is a fascinating thought to leave on. The digital infrastructure becoming just as vital to the verdict as the closing argument itself. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We really hope this conversation has given you a new strategic lens to look through. Take a glance at your own workplace's IT model this week. Are you just putting out daily fires, or are you building a proactive machine? Keep questioning, keep learning, and we will catch you on the next one.